Good evening. This is Carol, Kilopop for Mike Delta, your net control operator for the River City Arc Slow Scan TV net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.300 MHz. River City Arc's members and all licensed radio amateurs are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net, or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before I continue. We do have a list of early check-ins here. We have Alpha India 6 Delta Golf. Joel is number 1. Number 2 is Kilo Lima 7 Hotel Quebec Romeo Neil. Number 3 is Wilson, November 6 Echo Mike Foxtrot. And number 4 is Greg, Kilo 6 Whiskey Sierra Papa. Are there any additional check-ins at this time? Okay, nothing heard. We're going to proceed. We'll go down the list with start at the top, number 1. Joel, very good evening to you. Do you have any pictures to send? We usually start off with Martin 1. Over to you, AI6TG. This is KP4 Mike Delta.
I have a picture. I'd like to send it in PD120. It's got some fine detail in it.
QSL, yes, go ahead. Okay, AI6DG in the group. This is Kilo Papa for Mike Delta. That picture came through very well. Maybe about a dozen little pixel pops here, and of course that's the pave pause interference on our 440 frequency there. Picture came through very, very well, and nice clear colors. I have to say, I believe I have a unit just like this or very similar to this. And I received it from the Ukraine and use it with a 10-meter rig, and it puts out a signal on VHF and receives the signal on VHF, converts it down to 10 meters. That's what I think it is. Let's go down the list and see if anybody else caught this picture and what they think it might be. KL7HQR, go ahead, Neil.
Oh, what a difference. Absolutely perfect copy here, Carol. I was trying to get audio from the audio last time and all kinds of artifacts. This is, I don't know what you call P4, P5. Absolutely perfect. Congratulations there, Joe.
Okay, Wilson, November 6 Echo Mike Foxtrot, how did you copy that picture over?
Yeah, N6NA here. Yeah, I could see it pretty good. Picture came out very clear with a few pops, as you described. I can see all the detail. I do have a curiosity that I'll investigate later, but it's like a right triangle in the left corner, and it starts out with the peak on top, and then it kind of runs down the side, the left side of the screen with a base towards the bottom, and it's like alternating stripes. There's about, I don't know, 10 stripes that are black and green. I just have no idea what those are, but otherwise the photograph came through nice and clear.
Okay, thank you, Wilson. Next, number 4, KK6WSP. Greg, do you have any comments on this picture? How did you receive it? Over.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Carol, for doing the net. This is Greg, KK6WSP. A couple of good thoughts. First off, great picture to send, especially for any newcomers. Good quality. I can see the circuit board and whatnot. I can't read really any of the symbols or anything, but I can tell the difference between the different components and whatnot. I am super curious. I know Joel works on a lot of these things, but it's an impressive box as well. Like, it's got the front to it. I can see it's got these little rails, so it probably secures really good when it gets put back together. Yeah, great copy tonight, and glad to join you all. KK6WSP.
Okay, so back to Joel, and why don't you give us the full story on this box? And I imagine this is something that you bought, and how were you using it? And can you tell us all about it? Over.
Yes, this is the Ukrainian transverter. This is the 2-meter to 10-meter transverter, and this particular one came without the attenuator card. So it's and I got it without it because I don't need it. It's a direct plug device for use with my Flex Radio 6500, and it lets me on my HF. 160 through 6 meter HF rig. It allows me to now receive and transmit on 2 meter. Well, I don't have the transmit working yet. Something's messed up. I don't know if I blew the final transistor on this or if I just have something misconfigured. But it is this drop-in replacement. It's perfect fit. It's very, very easy to get working. I do see a couple problems with this picture. Carol obviously has auto resync and auto slant enabled because it adjusted for it, but there's a few artifacts. I'm on the YouTube channel, and I watched the picture as whoever's sending this received it. Actually, it's about 30 seconds out, so I was just about to stop my transmission saying it's not working because I wasn't seeing it come across on the YouTube channel, but only to eventually see it start. There's like a 30 or 40 second delay on the YouTube channel. But if you look at on the YouTube channel, if you look at the picture that was received on the up extreme left side on the upper right, there's a little bit of a black wedge where the auto slant didn't quite auto correct it, and actually just below that slant across the middle of the image there's some breaks where things don't quite line up. wire that's directly to the right of the blue circuit board isn't a straight wire. But basically, this adds another intermediate frequency stage to my 6500, and it does a conversion up and conversion down from 10 meters to 2 meters. You've got on the left, you've got the front panel with the power switch and the LEDs. You got the circuit board in the middle, and on the right, you've got power in, a couple of RF connectors for one to the antenna, one to the radio. And the reason I had this open was because as it came to me, the green power light and the red transmit light were reversed, so I had a red light on all the time, and when I transmitted, it turned green. So I had to basically pull the unsolder the LEDs on the front panel from the wires going to them, pull them out of the panel, swap them, and solder them back. Well, except I don't have transmit working. I got to figure that out sometime. That'd be pretty neat. Back to Net AI6DG.
Yeah, AI6DG and the group, this is KP4MD. I have the 222 megahertz version of that transverter. And yeah, my lights are the same way. You turn it on and the red light stays on, the power light. And then when you transmit, the other light comes on. So I think they're all wired that way. And my transverter puts out about 7 to 8 watts on 222 megahertz. And I got a little, on Amazon, I bought a little amplifier. It's a Baofeng amplifier that for 222 megahertz. And this little transverter can drive that amplifier to put out 50 watts. So that's awesome. The amplifier is not a class, it's not a linear amplifier, so it only works on CW and FM or modes like FT8 that don't need linear operation. But yeah, I hope you get that fixed up, and one of these days we can chat on 2 meters. I have a different transverter for 2 meters that I use with the Flex 1500. It's the Elecraft transverter. So that's going to be a lot of fun getting up on VHF single sideband. Are there any other comments about this picture? Oh yes, I did notice that there is some breaks there in the picture, as you say, in the synchronization. And I think it might have to do with the frequency setting, matching the correct frequency there in the MMS STV. If program itself, there's a frequency calibration. And if your clock is off, sometimes it causes problems with slant on receive. So I did calibrate mine according to WWV, and so I know that I'm pretty much spot on. But I have the auto sync and auto slant set on there. Anybody else have any comments about this picture, KP4MD? Okay, I guess not. These little transverters are awesome. I think they were going like for about $40 or $50, and it's a very low cost way to get on the VHF all modes. If you have an HF radio, that's all modes. So we're going to go down to the next in line is KL7HQR. Neil, if you have a picture to send to us, we're here standing by and we'll be ready to copy. Over.
We'll try and send one, which is, I was talking to Joe earlier, and he had a question, so I found a picture that hopefully will answer his question.
Yeah, okay, KL7HQR. This is KP4MD. That picture came through very well. It looks like a vintage picture of a handsome young man sitting in a swivel chair at an operating position. I recognize a few things in the picture. Up in the center of that console, I see it looks like one of the original robot slow scan TV accessories from the 1960s and the 1970s. Below that, I see looks like a Drake, probably a TR4 transceiver. And maybe to the left of that, there's something with a meter on it, maybe a rotor control. Over on the left side, I see what looks like a Heathkit linear amplifier, a couple of meters from a linear amplifier. And up on the right side, I recognize in the upper right-hand corner of that console a Heathkit meter. I don't know if that's a phone patch or perhaps a SWR meter. I'm just guessing, but we'll get everybody a chance here to give their comments. And let's go back up to number 1, AI6DG. Joel, how did you copy that? Over.
Yeah, there is a line across the very top. I see it on yours also. I've got some very strong pause interference lines. They're kind of interesting. They're going diagonal at a line, at an angle. Green line, a red line, a blue line, periodically top to bottom. Generally very good reception though, yes. And I'm trying to decide whether what I'm seeing is this from the age of the photo or if I see a lot of Heathkit green or blue or whatever that color was they used. Is that a power supply up on top of the cabinet on the upper right? That's a nice looking cabinet. Man, where do you get things like that? Back to net AI6DG.
Yeah, Joel, that looks like a professional operating station. Absolutely. Wilson, N6 Echo Mike Foxtrot, how did you copy that? Over.
All right, KP4MD, N6EMF here. Yeah, same as AI6DG. I see a fairly clear photograph. I do see some crackle in the photograph, which could indicate possibly age of the photographic print material. But other than that, I saw those sort of diagonal red, green, blue sort of noise stripes in there, but they're not as pronounced. They're just kind of dots diagonally across the photograph, but it looks really good in 6EMF.
Okay, thank you, Wilson. How about you, Greg? KK6WSP, over.
Oh, KK6WSP. Yeah, great reception, and I love the photo. I'm going with that red key on that thing. That might be a tape player where you got to hit record and play at the same time, like a little tape cassette player maybe. Maybe that's too new for this era. Anyway, I put on that noise filter. I think it was the M9, the more aggressive one, and it really took shape. So all the stuff in the middle of the photo went away, and there's just a faint line at the top. Excellent quality. Back to net.
Okay, yeah, one thing I do want to comment, yeah, those diagonal dots that going across the picture, we've seen that with the pave pause radar. Apparently, it goes into a certain mode where it sends a repetitious pattern, and it manifests itself as these diagonal pixels. I think what happened with that line that's going across the top there is I heard a little bit of a heterodyne. Somebody's transmitter went on momentarily, and it caused a little interference there. So, yeah, Neil, it's your turn to tell us about this picture and give us a full explanation. We're waiting with a bated breath. KL7HQR, KP4MD.
KP4MD, MD, and net. Yeah, if you were on the Show Your Shack, I used this picture. This is approximately July-August 1975 at Elmendorf Air Force Base in Anchorage. That's when I just got my KL7. And this is the station that I put together. is basically just some 19-inch slanted racks that I got from surplus from the Air Force, and I put the set together. And you're absolutely spot on. It's on the center, on the left is the antenna rotor, on the right-hand side is the Drake TR3, the robot slow scan television up on top. And if you see right above my head, there is a little white device there. That was the thing that you would put on top of the screen, and you put your eyes on it so that you could see it if there was light around it. On the left side is the SB220, correct? And behind me there is definitely a phone patch and an audio patch panel in there, and the 2-meter station up above. And it is a small cassette recorder, because I used to record the slow scan TV on the cassettes because I didn't have a camera. I had to record and then send it out. So, that young man, I have no idea who he is. I never met him. So back to Nick.
Why, thank you very much, Neil. This is quite a historical picture. Thank you very much for sharing that. Do we have any other questions or comments about this picture before we go on to the next one? Okay, nothing heard. I just want to comment that the robot slow scan TV device there that you're looking at, those things cost definitely over $1,000 in their day, and they had way lower resolution than the pictures we have now, and they were monochrome pictures. If I'm not mistaken, that screen had a kind of an orange tint to it because it was a long persistence phosphor. So it only would light up on it's a CRT, it's a cathode ray tube, and it would light up, it would sweep down the front of that tube, and it would light up orange color on the phosphor. So it was just a kind of like a black and white picture. There was no color other than the inherent color of the phosphors there, which was kind of orange color. Uh, Very good. Yeah, we've progressed so far since those days, and anybody now can get on slow scan TV for a fraction of the cost of that, even with the free apps that you can download onto your smartphone. So let's go down to number 3, N6 Echo Mike Foxtrot. Wilson, did you have a picture that you wanted to send to us? Over.
Indeed I do. N6EMF. We'll get ready to transmit Martin 1.
Okay, N6EMF and the River City Arcs Slow Scan TV Net. This is Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta. Oh, okay, this picture came over very well. I'm sure if you're watching it on YouTube, you'll see how clearly it came. I see a laptop computer that's apparently running MMSS TV. You've got it expanded to full screen there. And there's a wire going over it towards a little bread. I don't know if that's a breadboard or some kind of circuit board there. And then there's your there's a handheld radio there. Looks like an FT60. I recognize that because I've got a Yaesu handheld just like that. It looks like an FT60, something very similar. Um, so I'm assuming that this may be your station that you're using right now. It looks awesome. Let's go up to the top of the list here. AI6DG. Joel, how did you copy that? Over.
Well, and everything you said, yeah. That looks like a breadboard, and I don't know what the circuit is, but I'm assuming he's using that to interface the radio to the computer. I'm wondering what's on the other end of that cable. Is it a signal link or a generalized sound card? And yeah, I want to know what the circuit is. What's it doing? But if that's what's being used to send this, then and for what he's using to receive, then I'd say it's definitely working well. Back to net, AI6DG.
Yeah. Okay, Joel. Over to you, Neil. KL7HQR. Any feedback on how you received this? Over.
Oh, absolutely perfect. Perfect. I'm impressed on what we're doing here. Very, very, very clear. And again, I'm curious on the circuit as well, but very clear picture. No problem at all. I don't see any artifacts in my end right here. So thanks again. Back to that.
Yeah, okay. And Greg, KK6WSP, how did it come over on your end? Over?
Oh yeah, great quality. And it's funny. I haven't done this in quite a while, and I kept hearing those noises. Because I like to listen to the signals, and it was going back and forth, and I was like, "What is that?" Because I went down the hall for a minute, and I come back, and then about halfway back, I go, "Oh, that's got to be the call sign where it switches one color to the other color and back and forth." Green is quite distinctive as well. So yeah, having a good time, and this is super quality. You can see the handheld pretty good, like it's got a little, looks like an antenna, maybe using an external antenna of some sort, and then whatever this interface is. Yeah, good stuff. KK6WSP.
Yeah, okay, Wilson, it's your turn. Why don't you describe this? Is this your entire slow scan TV setup? Over?
Yes, N6EMF here. It all started a few weeks ago when I joined my first SSTV session with Carol here at KP4MD. I had no idea what I was going to be getting into, but my first experience with it was using acoustical coupling, basically letting the speaker run into the computer mic. And then after that, I decided to build my own interface to go between my Yaesu FT60R handheld radio and the computer. So what you're seeing there is a breadboard with a resistor capacitor combination circuit that adapts the radio to the microphone jack or the headset jack of the laptop. Well, the laptop I brought back from many years of being under the table collecting dust. Just had kind of moved away from PCs and went to Macs for many years, and then got back into it as a result of SSTV. So thanks, Carol, for bringing me back to Windows. And Carol was kind enough to send me a Hayward Radio Club notebook on SSTV. In the very last page has a circuit that describes how to make this work, and I adapted it because it wasn't exactly what I needed, but I did adapt it using a electrolytic capacitor there and some resistor voltage divider networks, and I purchased a couple of 4-wire cables from Amazon, cut them in half, and soldered them up so I could make this interface. And Right now, I'm actually using a new signal link that I just figured out how to get working tonight. But previously, I had been using this homebrew interface. So there you go, N6EMF.
Well, congratulations on this completely homebrew adapter for you to get on SlowScan. I remember when you were using it, and it did a wonderful job. And your signal link is working just fine right now too. Do we have any additional comments or a discussion on this, or anybody else would like to join the net here before we go on to the next? Over.
N6EMF. I'll add just appreciate and thanks for all the comments. And everybody's doing great. N6EMF.
Okay, fine. Next, number 4 is KK6WSP. Greg, do you have a picture to share with us?
Yeah, I sure do, and I think I've got everything right here in NSSTV. I do want to ask, how many watts are we using tonight? Like, I don't do a lot of UHF. What's the wattage we should be using? KP4MD, KK6WSP.
Okay, well, that depends how well you get into the repeater. I'm using just 5 watts, and I hit the repeater pretty well with that. If that's the way you're coming in right now, you're full quieting. Over.
Okay, yeah, Roger. Now, when I started, I was up at 50, so I'm down at 20. That ought to be fine. All right, I do appreciate it, Carol. All right, so this is KK6WSP, and I've got a fuzzy one, but I'm gonna give it a try. Martin 1 here, KK6WSP.
Okay, KK6WSP and the group. This is KP4MD. Okay, I recognize this picture. We had the event last month when the International Space Station was broadcasting slow scan pictures on 145.80 for several days, and a number of us downloaded some of these pictures and shared them on this net. Actually, that was the first time we tried doing the YouTube Live, and we had some technical difficulties getting it on YouTube. There's some problems with that recording, but yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. And Let's see who else copied that there. We'll go up to the top of the list. AI6DG, how about you, Joel? How'd you copy that over?
Pretty well. I actually think I see in the text somewhere ISS, so I'm assuming very well. You said you've seen it, and I was thinking that even before you said that it's got something to do with ISS and the recent things that happened up there recently. And it looks like it's in Russian. And I noticed a couple of bands of poor reception on it. You know, one between the two paragraphs on the top that goes all the way across right above the astronaut and whatever the square thing. Oh, wait a minute, that's a photo insert. Okay, I was thinking he was doing a spacewalk and that was his backpack, but no, I think that's a photo insert. And then there's another in the middle of him across the middle of the photo. Hang on, how do I get rid of it? Other side of the radio, receiving another repeater. Across the middle of the photo, there's some more the defects in the photo, but I don't know if that's my reception or if this is a retransmission of something off of ISS. It might have been received that way the first time around. Yeah, I look forward to the next ISS slow scan. It'd be interesting to get into that again and try receiving something. Back to net, AI6DG.
Okay, thank you, Joel. How about you, Neil? How'd you copy that, and any comments? Chaos7HQR, over. Okay, I think Neil probably stepped away. Let's go down to Wilson, N6 Echo Mike Foxtrot. How did you copy? And you have any comments on that picture, over?
Might have been Neil.
I'm sorry. I was talking, doing my description on my HF rig, which is off, but the two microphones got intermingled. So sorry. Very quickly, I copied that same picture on the original, and I had all kinds of artifacts. So if this came directly, this is a great reception. And I see the same artifacts in here, but I think if it is the original being retransmitted now, I think it was pretty good. I don't read the text, but quality is overall very good.
Okay, thank you, Neil. Now over to you, Wilson, N6EMF. This is KP4MD.
6EMF. Yeah, the picture came in fairly clear. I had a little bit of an operator error on my part here, and am missing the top portion of the picture, but the bottom 2/3 I was able to copy quite well. Obviously, we talked about the text. I cannot discern any of the letters or the characters of the text. Sort of blurry, but expecting that based on the original source. But I can see everything else, and it looks good. Nice and clear. Nice work.
Yeah, okay, so Greg, why don't you tell us more about this picture, please? This is KP4MD.
Oh, thank you, Carol. KP4MD, KK6WSP. Yes, it's definitely a retransmission, so I'm transmitting the one that I received. And it's about all I got available right now because as it was coming by, I was tracking it pretty good. This was when, the same time, right? So just this last month or whatever. It says 10/5, but that might have been when I backed it up or something. I'm not sure what day it was. But then I got into a panic because it kept coming by, and I kept hearing it. And then it would do a little bit of a picture and use up that history. You only get so many photos before it wraps back around. So I didn't really know how to make sure to keep all the photos, back them up right. And so I just started making copies of the whole directory, MMS TV. So now I got like 5 copies. And they're all about the same. Anyway, so I went through them, and this is the best. Oh, and now my MMS TV is kind of messed up. I don't have any photos in it anymore. So I found all of these. So this was the best pass. This was right overhead. And I had the tracking. I had the radio moving with it. And all the rest of them are half this, half the other. Strange part is it's only 320 size, 320 by 256, I guess. And I thought they were transmitting, at least last time, in a bigger size, the PD 120s or something. So I don't know if my computer squeezed it down, but I don't think I could ever read, even on the original. I couldn't read these texts. But it does have the two faint lines that Joel mentioned. So that's in the original line above in between the first paragraph, and then one kind of around the waist or so of the little astronaut there. So yeah, I got this here at the station on this new radio I'm using tonight, KK6WSP.
Yeah, KK6 WSP in the group. This is KP4MD. Those bars of fuzziness that everybody's recognizing there, I get those too. I think I'm not exactly sure the mechanism that causes that, but if you're listening to the signal as the space station passes over, it comes in really strong. I think they're transmitting 25 or 50 watts up there, and it's absolutely full saturating in the receiver. It's got a really strong signal, full scale, and as it travels across the sky, it sounds like there are points where the signal kind of passes through where it kind of cancels out and the signal drops down real low for a fraction of a second or so. And I don't know if that has to do with polarization shift of the signal as the spacecraft is traveling above us. That'd be interesting, and there may be some description of what's going on there. Maybe it's what they call a Faraday shift in the signal, but uh, yeah, that's something that a lot of people recognize or see when they're receiving satellites. Do we have any other further comments on this before we go on to the next picture? This is KP for MD. Okay, nothing heard. Well, I guess I'm going to go ahead and send a picture. This is going to be Martin 1, KP4MD, and here we go. Okay, we'll go to the top of the list. AI6DG, how did you copy that? Over.
probably the best reception I've had tonight. So we got a pole going up and various antennas on the pole. I see what's probably the edge of a dipole in the upper left. I see a coax coming down just to the right of the pole. Looks like there's a common mode choke with the coax going around it a bunch of times on the extreme upper, just to the right of the pole. A loop just to the right in the middle of the pole. I don't know, is that, I guess both that and the big beam to the left of the pole, are they both 440 or that range, frequency range? I don't see a rotor either axis, azimuth or elevation. So I'm curious what you point this at. I mean, is it a single satellite or? Anyway, that's a lot of gain. I'd like to see a construction construction plans for that. The beam. That looks like fun. Back to net AS6DG.
Okay, thank you, Joel. Number 2, Neil, KL7HQR, how'd you copy and what are your comments on this? Over.
Again, extremely good copy here, including the naked branches of the trees on the bottom. Yeah, that 6-element being that you have in there is very interesting, and I can see the either dipole or one side of a inverted V something there on the left side. So very, very good, clear, including the shining on the pole came in very clear. I don't think I've ever seen slow scan television this clear before. This is really good.
Okay, how about you, Wilson? N6EMF, over.
Yeah, N6EMF here. I see a pretty clear picture. I just see a few pixel pops. I do see the green antenna mast with some U-clamps in the middle of the photo attaching the magnetic loop antenna. I can't identify the quad that you've got set up, but it looks like some kind of quad quad Yagi or quad, I don't know what they call those. But very clear picture. I can even see the shiny, bright copper elements of the quad, and I think there's some, like say, a section of one of the elements of a dipole up there at the top. So looks pretty good. Nice work.
Okay, finally, you, Greg, KK6WSP, any comments on this picture? Over.
Oh, good evening again, Carol. Yeah, excellent quality for sure. Like all the colors are vibrant. Kind of somebody was like, "Gosh, this is really good. This is really good." Slow scan tonight. Nice and quiet on the airwaves. I think I've seen these antennas in person. If I remember, that one's cross-polarized or something. That's a neat one. And I think I saw that one day. And I want to say, is the other one an Alex loop, or maybe just a like? Is there another one above it? Like it's a stacked antenna, or maybe it's below it in this photo. That there's another piece to that loop, maybe. Yeah, great quality, and I can tell like the season in the back. You can see there's no leaves on those bigger trees in the middle. So excellent quality. KK6WSB.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. Yeah, these are some of my VHF antennas. The beam antenna that you see there is a cubicle quad, 6-element cubicle quad, and it's not on a rotor. It's on a fixed position, pointing towards the Bay Area, and it has about 10 dB of gain. It's horizontally polarized, so I use it for weak signal operation, CW, single sideband, and digital modes. So that's what that is for. And we have a network of stations that are doing Whisper. That's the weak signal propagation reporter network on 432 megahertz. and I'm regularly in contact with them doing propagation studies. That loop that you see on the right side is a homebrew horizontal. It's not a, magnetic loop. It's actually a half wave. Uh, what you call an HO loop or a halo antenna. It's a omnidirectional, horizontally polarized 2 meter antenna, and it's actually one of a pair. I do have them stacked. There's another one that's below this photo that's spaced half wavelength away from it. So they add up their gain. They add 3 dB of gain. And I've had that antenna up there for about 10 years, and it's doing a wonderful job. I use it also on weak signal modes on 2 meters. So, like I said, Joel, when you get your transverter going, we can try making a contact there on 2 meter sideband. The other thing that you were mentioning, that little round thing up near the top of the picture, just to the right side of that pole, that's actually a little ferrite core, and the wire that's going down through it is wrapped around it there. That was actually some speaker wire that I was using for feeding my a full wave horizontal loop, the 40-meter antenna. And that wire that you see trailing off the left side in the upper left-hand corner is part of the loop antenna. It's 140 feet of um, insulated hookup wire in a square configuration, and that I use that on all the HF bands. I originally was feeding it with speaker wire, but I've since that time replaced it with ladder line, which works very well. I couldn't keep using the speaker wire because when I got an amplifier, it was going to burn up the speaker wire. It couldn't handle the 500 watts. So we replaced that with ladder line. Do we have any questions about this picture before we continue? This is KP4MD.
Carol, this is Wilson, N6EMF. Did you say that those were horizontally polarized loops that were for, did you say, what was the band? Was it 40?
Yeah, if you're talking about the cubicle quad, that that is a 70 centimeter antenna. That's for 432 megahertz over.
Okay, great, thank you. I was thinking of the, at first I called it a loop, but it's a horizontally, you got the horizontal loop there for, I think it was VHF, is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. The horizontal circular loop is actually for 2 meters. That's it's actually it's like a half wave dipole, but it's bent around into a loop configuration. The ends don't touch; it's open on the ends. But when you do that to a dipole, it turns it into an omnidirectional antenna. Over.
Oh, very good. And you have one below the photograph area that would it kind of mates up with that one, and it helps to shape the beam. Is that what happens?
Yeah, yeah. What happens when you stack these antennas? It maintains the omnidirectional characteristic, but it increases the gain because it flattens the radiation pattern into a thin pancake down around the horizon. So it gives an omnidirectional gain. That's what it does. Over.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. It's very interesting. I appreciate it. It's it's very good. So that's a homebrew, correct?
Yeah, yeah, QSL. That is a homebrew antenna, and I'll go ahead and I'll send you a link. I wrote this up, and I put it on my web page. The project of building these, and if you're interested, I'll send you the link so you can read a little bit more about it. Over.
For sure. Definitely interested. Thank you. That's all I have.
KK6W.
Yeah, WSP, did you have a comment?
Yeah, actually, I appreciate it, Carol. So I have a question about the longer antenna, the loop. I think it's a 40 meter. You said it comes off of here and runs around the property and whatnot. And I keep having these ideas about building something like that, and so my question is, I've got this alarm wire. So it's 4 wires. They're 18 gauge, 1/8 gauge. And in my head, I want to use, one of the wires as a secure to keep the whole cable tight. And then I can't, is 18 big enough to do something like this? Because I've got a good 500 feet of this. I could make up, a 1-wire solution or use all 4 wires. Like, I don't really know if I should just bond them together and go for it, or if that'll have a twist in it and not get what I want on like a long wire like that. So it's 18 gauge, and there's 4 wires in the jacket, in the spool. I'm just looking for your advice. KK6WSP.
Yeah. What I would say, 18 gauge. Actually, you could run easily 500 watts into 18 gauge loop like that. This wire that I have up there is 20 gauge, and I'm actually going to be swapping it out for 18 gauge here shortly. I sent away for a 150 feet of copper weld 18 gauge. I would recommend you use just a single 18 gauge wire for the loop rather than all of them in parallel, because it'll just get too heavy and sag too much. Uh, Probably, unless you have really strong supports on all the corners that you're going to be holding it up. If it gets too heavy and sag, it'll make the wire stretch a lot and then put a lot of strain on the insulators that you have on points of the corners over.
Okay, Roger. So it sounds like, because in my head I thought I could use 1 wire to keep it tight and the other wire to be the antenna, but you're right, they're just going to touch each other. That's not going to get what I want. Okay, so it's good to hear that 18 is good, so I could make, however many feet and strip it out and just have the one, and or make a few or whatever. Interesting stuff. All right, well, I appreciate it. So it sounds like 18, and maybe I'll give that a read and figure out the distance I want. Because I think if I go all the way around, kind of like you just said, I can come off one side of the house, kind of get towards the fence, there's my support, and off I go to the 4 corners of the property, and I think that's going to be 70, 70, and 50, so that's 190. Yeah, that ought to be perfect. KK6WSP.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Greg. And look, we're coming up on the top of the hour, and I think that's about as long as we normally carry on these nets for now. We had some really good pictures that were shared, and everybody is doing quite well with their transmission and receiving of pictures. And I think at this time we'll just put out there if there are any final comments before we close the net. This is KP4MT.
KL7HQR.
Yeah, go ahead, Neil.
Don't have time to discuss this now, but I do have a few questions that are remaining on my setup here, like the CWID at the end. I'm not so sure I know how to set that up correctly. I don't know if it's going out correctly. Also, there is a preliminary intro audio before the picture starts, the da-da-da-da-da, that obviously I don't see in my signal. I don't know how important that is. So I have a couple of questions. And as it was mentioned before, I don't remember who mentioned that it would be interesting to get together, not on a net, but on a learning during the day. I would be very interested in that. So if anybody is interested and has some answers to my questions, I would appreciate a contact. You can find me at KL7HQR@gmail.com. Thanks.
Yeah, this is Wilson, N6EMF. I'll be sending out an email to you, Neil, and a few others have already emailed me. So I'll round up the list, and we'll have a cadre and get together on Simplex 145.510 for the club.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Carol. Thank you for a very enjoyable evening.
Okay, thank you very much again. Thanks to all who participated in tonight's Slow Scan TV Net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Pacific Time. The net is now officially closed at 10:01 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is Carol, Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta, wishing you all a very good evening. I'm going